Morning. Welcome to Home Sweet Gardens. If you're new here, welcome. I'm going to show you a little bit about my garden. This is going to be the 8th garden tour. It is June, I can never remember the date, June 20th, 2020. It's about 7:45 in the morning. I was going to come out a little earlier, but it was still really, really wet, so I had to wait a little bit. If you're returning back, welcome back. Love to have you. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And there's a little bell in the corner for notifications if you want to be notified of any new videos. So as I came down this morning to prepare for the video, I was kind of tinkering around. I guess I was picking some peas that I didn't get picked last night. I was pulling a weed here and there, fixing a leaf, taking a little bite off of this leaf, or nibbling on a little bit of this. And it occurred to me that the birds singing, and I've got the weed eater in the background, we've got dogs barking in the background, you know, all these different noises. But the thing I can hear the most is the birds just singing a little song. And it's so calm and peaceful. And that, I think, is the main reason I have a garden and come down here. So I'd love to share that with you. So if you're ready, let's head on out and I'll show you my garden. So as you can see, my tubs are starting to fill in a little bit. We have some marigolds, looks like some sunflowers. It's still so early to tell. This almost looks like it could be some basil right here. I've been pulling a few weeds out. You can see there's still a little bit more, some over there. But again, I don't want to pull too many because I don't want to interrupt the root system. They're still pretty small. This rose bush here, last week I think had started putting a couple of little blooms on. Now you can see, look at them. They're here and here, and there's some over there. And there's just, it's really spreading out nicely. I still don't think it's quite ready to get tied up to the fence yet, cattle panel, but it's getting there. Okay, corn. Okay, doing pretty good. My rogue sunflower that went into the moved when we had that big rain. Okay, these are getting really big right here. And they're gonna start shooting up, and it's about 75 degrees. We had a little over 2 inches of rain yesterday. And let's see right here, look. There's no blooms on this one yet, but it's still doing pretty good. I don't know how much we got last night. It rained off and on, not a whole lot, but we'll check. Looks like the rain gauge is not a whole lot in it, but still we got quite a bit of rain, so everything's just really wet. My shoes are soaking wet. Onions, they're doing well. I just dug around and checked one. They haven't really put on a bulb yet, but as you can see, they're really starting to put on some size. I've never grown onions from seed before. I've always used sets. So, and from what I've heard and been told, using sets almost is what you want to do. You want to start from seed because you'll get a better onion. But it seems like they're taking forever. But I think it's because I'm not used to it having to go through that whole process. So, strawberries have finally stopped producing. I think there might be a rogue one or two here somewhere, but for the most part, they're pretty much done. I'm okay with that because I'm strawberried out. Flowers are starting to fill in a little bit better. As you can tell, the rain has really hammered them. Oh yeah, look, there is some water in the rain gauge. Let's see here. You know, like a tenth maybe. Yeah, not much. So that puts us at about 2 2/10 of a for the last couple days. Okay, hold on. My lettuce is going to seed, otherwise known as bolting. When it gets hot, it'll start shooting up and it'll start wanting to put flowers on and seed. You can still eat it at this point. It's really bitter. There's some of it that I can pull and eat if I wanted to, but for the most part, it's done for the season. Yeah, ooh, very, very bitter. Scarlet Nantes, they're doing well. They're starting to come in. I pulled one the other day and they're not quite ready, but they're looking pretty good. My sunflowers in the corner here, look at that one. One there, not quite as many came up as I was hoping. I'd planted several. Here's one in the carrot jungle that's just desperately trying to find some sun. And then I've got one little lonely sad one right there. Now you can see how these carrots look like something's crawled through them. The rain really hammered them, but I've started pulling them. And actually, here's one right here. These are the golden Uzbek. Obviously not washed yet. They have more of a milder taste than a regular orange carrot. I took some to work with me and they said they didn't think they really had a whole lot of a taste at all. I thought they did. I thought they were pretty good. But you can see the tall ones here. And they got these giant stalks on them. This right here is your flower head. Carrots actually have a really pretty flower on them if you let them go to seed. I'm going to let several of these go to seed though, because I want to collect them so that I can grow them again next year and not have to buy seeds. It'll be my first year doing that, but I'm pretty excited. It was a very intimidating thing to me. I don't know why. I keep saying I was going to do it, and I would find some reason not to, but I'm going for it this year. So, see how it goes. My clematis, this one's doing really well. This one, I planted this year. It's not looking the greatest. I don't know if it's because the carrots got into its space or what, but I'll have to kind of cut that off later. But it's pretty small. But it is also the first year I planted it, and I know that one I had over here didn't do that well the very first year either, so I'm hopeful. This one looked like it was going to be doing the same thing, but then I noticed it's gotten some new shoots on it, so keep my fingers crossed. And of course all the flowers are done for this clematis this year anyway. Columbine's doing well. The thing that's the newest this week I'm super excited about is the purple dragon bush beans. Check this out. They are purple. A little fuzzy, like all green beans. I haven't eaten any of them yet. They cook up green. So if you go to plant them and they're pretty purple, when you go to eat them after you've cooked them, they're going to be green like a regular green bean. I don't like them to get really big, so this is typically about the size that I pick them. And then of course I snap them and I'll, can them. So I need to come out and pick some more of those. I got, I don't know, about a small, half a sandwich bag full last night. And I'll have to pick some more again. Strawberries, again, are over with for the season. This is starting to put on more blooms, so that's good. The bees love these things. If you're wanting to bring bees into your garden, your salvias and your astrables are the way to go. My rose bushes looking pretty good. Look at that. And this bush, it just, the smell, I can't get over how amazing that smells. Alright, then this one here was that pretty yellow, and it's got 2 blooms ready to go. And this is that pretty pink, and it's got 1 left. The other one I cut and brought in the house. Alright, so let's go down here. Here's just an overall shot. I don't know if I've ever shown you guys this before. That's my garden. If you look way down here between the trees, I have all that space that I could do things with. I mean, I have all the acreage back behind the house too, but I do plan on expanding this next year. I'm going to take it out more towards that tree. Okay, so these grapes I've had for about 6 years, 5 years, something like that. And they're doing fantastic. They put grapes on every single year. The problem is I've never actually gotten to eat any other than when they've been just little bitty pea size, and I would sneak one, and they tasted absolutely terrible because, of course, they weren't ripe. So the first year, excuse me, I watched them and I watched them and I watched them. I was so excited, and they turn red and get a little bit darker and get a little bigger, and I thought, oh good, this weekend I'm going to pick some. I went to work, getting ready to come back the weekend, gone, nothing, didn't have any. I was so upset. The birds, the bugs, whatever got to them. So then the next year they didn't really produce a whole bunch. Last year they had quite a bit on them, and so I bought one of those nets, the grape nets, that you put over it. They're supposed to keep the birds and everything out of it. So my cousin and I put it all over across the whole thing. We clamped it together at the bottom so nothing could get into them. They were getting pretty big, almost about the size of a grape should be. He's going to come down and get some, and gone. All of them gone. I don't know what ate them, because the birds couldn't get into it. I don't know if it was the bees, little ants picked them and carried them off, or little, somebody came and ate them in the moment. I have no idea what happened to them, but I have not gotten any grapes off these stupid plants. So I've been watching every year or every day, and I've cut some things back and did less branches. I've thinned them out a little bit, because every year I just kind of let them go, and then I read that you should trim them back, and so that you only have so many grape pods. But as you can see, there's something, which that's probably just wilted, I know, but I'm being a little paranoid because I think something's going to try and eat my grapes again. So anyway, wish me luck. Hopefully. Okay, so moving on, my little shade garden I've got here looks really good. My bleeding heart's got some new growth on it. It just looks sad to me. I don't know. It's the first year, so hopefully next year it'll look better. I show it every year, even though it still looks sad to me. And then my colas, I had cut them back. I cut the tops off of several of them because I see, like right here, I want them to fill out a little bit more. Good idea. What's the pink one right here? What was it? Was it a kitty cat? A squirrel? A rabbit? Come on, let's go. Good girl. This is Terry, family dog. She hates squirrels, and so she just took off after one across the street. I had to go get her. Normally she's pretty good, and she just stops at the end of the road at our property line, but not this time. I guess the temptation was just too great. Alright, so Brussels sprouts, they're doing great. They are starting to fill in a little bit more. So I can get this thing in here for you to see. My fingers out of the way. There. Little spots, little black spots or brown spots are on the inside of what I call the armpit of the leaves. I don't know if it's what it's actually called. That's what I call it. Those are all going to be Brussels sprouts. Right. The chives are looking very nice. Look at that. Time to cut them back again. Alright, so I got 4 Brussels sprouts doing well. Look at my poor borage. The rain just hammered it. It looks so sad. I'm going to have to come down and cut some of the branches off of it. Oh, poor thing. Okay. Now, kohlrabi. I swear for a long time I didn't think it was going to do anything. Of course, again, like I've told you before, it was my first year that I've ever grown it. But you see this bulb on it is starting to get bigger. When it gets to be, I think they said about baseball size, then it's ready. I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait that long, honestly. I may end up picking one and trying to eat it just because I'm not very patient. Gardening is definitely about patience, and man, I'm just not very good at that part, but I'm trying. Cucumbers are doing fantastic. They're really starting to climb. They will cover this trellis, and you won't be able to see anything through it. We've got little bitty cucumbers coming on here. All little flowers. My eggplant look good. They take a while. It seems like they don't start putting anything on until it gets quite a bit hotter in July. My zucchini, I don't know, hopefully you'll be able to tell the difference between last week and this week. It is gigantic. And look at that flower. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know. But zucchini, I think, and squash have the most beautiful, bright yellow flowers. It reminds me of something tropic. Oh, squash bugs. They are going to be the death of me. They are pure evil. I've been pretty fortunate. I've had a few, but here, I can't stand touching these things. They gross me out. But this, can I get to zoom? There we go, is a squash bug. I don't know what their real name is, but I call them squash bugs. And you know why I call them squash bugs? Because I put them down and I squash them. Anyway, again, I don't like to spray unless I absolutely have to. I do use a 7 Dust, which I know is not very good. Please don't hammer me on that one. But I only use it when I absolutely have to. I've been really fortunate, and again, it's because I feel like it's because I do this above or upright vertical gardening with the zucchini and squash. And you see how I've gotten the leaves that I cut off, and the plant is healthy. I'll be cutting these 2 bottom ones here down off. I've got a zucchini that's almost ready to go. Lots of flowers on it. Obviously, massive zucchini leaves on here. I always have people comment about how large the leaves are. I'm like, geez, how do they get so big? And I think it's the soil. I use that Expert topsoil from Walmart that I've talked about in previous posts. When it's light and airy, it's got a lot of nutrients in it. It's almost like a compost. And then I use bone meal, blood meal at different times. I use Miracle Grow about once a month, something like that. But really it comes back to that daily garden maintenance, making sure that everything is healthy, there's no diseases, no pests. So that's my theory anyway as to how I keep them so healthy. This is called a scallop squash. You can see how they're shaped. They kind of look like scallops. They get quite large. I like them a little bit smaller. They're not quite as strong. The crickneck, sometimes the seeds get pretty big if you let them get too big. These don't tend to have that problem. And there's that other one. This one, if you recall from the previous videos, was so small I wasn't sure it was wrong if it was going to make it. And obviously it's doing well. Look at those flowers. Just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, my peas. Peas are doing very well. They're getting very tall, nice and green. I just picked a bunch, got literally a whole sink full of peas that I am going to can or freeze. I think I'll probably freeze them this year. I really like to do that. You can see they're starting to turn brown on the bottoms, a little yellow. For one thing, we've had quite a bit of rain, but also they really don't like the heat. And you look here, a couple there, pretty good size. And like I said, I just came down and picked them. But it seems like every time I come down, you miss them. You think, oh, I got them all. And then you come back, and there's more. So that's kind of the nature of it. These are snap peas. These are the kind that you would want to can. They're not like the sugar peas where you can eat the pods. I guess you can, but they're really, really tough and woody almost. And my Asian beans, long beans, are doing really well. I don't think I'm going to grow them with the strings again next year though, because I don't know that it's really going to support them as well as it should. I think I'll make sure that they're on a trellis next year. And that's the really cool thing about a garden though, is you buy a packet of seeds, anywhere from 99 cents to $5, I think is the most expensive seeds I've ever seen, which were pretty rare seeds. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You didn't spend a fortune, and you learn something and try it different the next year. You know, they're going to do okay and they're going to grow, but next year I'll put them on a trellis by themselves, and we'll see how they go then. This is my butter crunch lettuce. Again, it's getting ready to go to seed. It's started to bolt. It's very bitter at this point. It's not going to taste good. So, doesn't mean you can't eat it. It's just going to have a lot stronger of a flavor, and I don't particularly care for them that strong. My Brussels sprouts are getting very large. And again, if you recall, I've never eaten them, I've never grown them, and I've been told that they get to be quite massive, so I probably didn't plant them far enough apart, but that's okay. And we'll just see how it goes and learn trial by error. My artichoke plant is doing very well. I cut off a lower branch, it was wilty on it, but it's doing well. It takes a long time. It's not even going to be ready till closer to August. It's got a really long growing cycle. My banana peppers are doing very well. They're starting to put some fruit on them. They look so spindly. All peppers do, I think, but they'll fill in. They're just taking a while to mature. These are the mixed peppers. They're the ones like you buy in the package at Walmart. The red, yellow, and orange little mini peppers, snack type peppers is what I think of them. And there's 3 of them. It looks, there was 4. I don't know what got in here, but something has decided to dig in my garden. So, oh, there it is right there. It's still alive. Let me see if I can save it. That's kind of the nature of a garden, though. You know, you can't keep everything out. I'm pretty fortunate I don't have a lot of trouble with animals and pests, but every once in a while you get something coming in. Here's my butternut squash. You've got to really watch this stuff because I think it's even more prolific than a cucumber as far as the climbing. I mean, this stuff just takes over. If you're not careful, it'll grab onto something around it, and you can't hardly get it to separate off. And then look at this. See that right there? That is a baby butternut squash. Very excited. It'll take over this whole trellis, cover the whole thing. What are you doing, Terry dog? Just be down with me everywhere she goes, checking stuff out, making sure everything's okay. She's pretty good about it. She doesn't get into the plants, and she didn't try to pee on them like a lot of the dogs do. You know, we've had troubles with. She seems to really understand that she shouldn't be in the beds. Look at that. There is a little baby bell pepper. And they've got a lot of them on there, so they're doing very well. Very happy. I've got 2 of them. And see how tall they are? And they're starting to fill in. Those banana peppers will do the same thing too. They're not quite as old as these. I actually bought these because I couldn't get mine to grow from seed, so they've had a little bit more of a head start than what mine did that I grew from seed. Again, here's another butternut squash that is got to be trained to trellis. You just got to come out every day, every other day, and kind of help direct them to where you want them to go. And that one too looks really good. I think, oh, before we go, I want to show you something. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I just absolutely love the color. And that was one last year. And I left it in that pot. And you're supposed to take them out because I'm in zone 6B. And so we get pretty cold in the winter. You know, we get down to zeros. Not as many zeros, but we get down well below 30. So you're supposed to take the bulbs out and winter them. I left them in that pot and stuck it in we have an old house that I put all my stuff in the end of the season. And thought, well, if they live, they don't. If they don't. Brought the pot back up. Of course, it was to look like dirt. Just kept watering it and thought, well, maybe something will come out of it. And sure enough, it did. And now it seems like there's all kinds of them in there. So I'm going to have to separate them out this year and find a bigger pot or container for them. On my patio, I've started pulling some weeds and stuff, but you can see they're between the bricks. I've got all that grass. My thyme that I planted when I first put these bricks down is doing really well, but it just, you know, doesn't take over as quick as the grass does. Okay, this is that orange marmalade. Such a pretty little flower. There's a catnip. I had to put it up here because a cat got into it. So every once in a while, I'll pick off a leaf and give it to her. And man, she just gets crazy with it. Cinnamon basil. Oh, this stuff is so good. I cut off a few sprigs of it. I took it in the house. And I'm drying it so I can have it for tea or other things I want to have with it. My chocolate black cosmos looks like, oh, look at that. Looks like there might be a little bit of a flower coming up soon. I'm really excited because I don't know that I believe that it's going to smell like chocolate. So I'm hoping that it does, but you never know. So that brings us to the end of this week's garden tour. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you. Pictures of your garden. I'm always amazed to see the things that different people do, and I love to learn, and sometimes I get my best ideas from people and how they've experienced things and what they've done. Take care, enjoy your happy gardening, and we'll see you next week.